Hey everybody, so I'm doing something a little bit different with this video. In the background, I'm working on a bigger project, something that's gonna take me a while to finish. So in order to keep up a steady flow of videos and avoid a drought or something like that, I'm gonna start doing a series of videos about mods. I just recently did a video on Black Mesa, a game that started out as a mod, and I had a lot of fun doing it. At the end of that video, I went on this whole spiel about all the incredible work the community has done on fan creations over the years. So I wanted to kind of build off that and start to actually kind of show off different projects that people have done over the years. In the Black Mesa video, I was specifically talking about Half-Life, but for this series, I'm going to be taking a look at mods for a bunch of different games, though with this one, we are starting out with a Half-Life mod, which brings me to the subject of this video, Todesangst. Now, if you ask a Half-Life fan what their favorite mod for the original is, they might say They Hunger, or they might say USS Darkstar, they probably won't say Todesangst. It's a fan project that's kind of fallen into obscurity over the past 20 years. Oddly enough, when it came out, it was pretty highly regarded. It has an 8 out of 10 rating on ModDB and was even listed in the top 100 for 2002. Pretty high praise, so I thought it warranted a download. So your first question is probably, what is Todesangst? Now, that question can be answered in two ways. The first answer is that Todesangst is apparently a German term that translates to fear of death, similar to the English term thanatophobia. In more general everyday language, it's often used to mean a more generalized sense of anxiety or dread. I'm not actually smart, I got all that off the ModDB page. The second answer is that Todesangst is a mod for the first Half-Life that's set shortly after the end of the first game. Gordon Freeman is still working in Black Mesa, which is now run by both the G-Man, whose real name according to this mod is Vincent Blackstone, and Dr. Newell, a mad scientist who's conducting unethical experiments with the Xen aliens. That's the basic setup. Why you end up having to fight your way through the facility once again, I don't know. Something to do with the military being dicks again. Todesangst largely reuses a bunch of assets from the base game and doesn't really add a whole lot, which I think is fine. It makes it feel like a small-scale expansion pack on par with something like Blue Shift. The big gimmick of the mod is its cutscenes. It attempts to convey a sense of cinematic storytelling that was absent from the base game, which never had you leaving Gordon's point of view. A lot of Half-Life fans tend to get really anal about cutscenes and mods, mostly because of how much it goes against a lot of the core design philosophy of the series, but I don't mind them, and the way they're handled in Todesangst is pretty impressive. One thing that I think a lot of people forget is that prior to Half-Life, most, or, well, all really fan content for shooters was focused entirely around level design. Half-Life was the first FPS to feature these really elaborate scripted set pieces and sequences, so when the mod tools were released, that was a whole new set of toys for people to play around with. It gave armchair programmers a lot of really powerful tools to mess around with and use to try and do more than just make their own levels, but also create their own stories. Plus, Valve originally planned to have traditional cutscenes in the base game themselves, but they had to can those due to engine and time constraints. I will say though, you do feel those engine limitations because some pretty goofy things can happen in cutscenes with character models and animations, plus sometimes the HUD stays on the screen and you can still do things like jump or turn on your flashlight.
Proceed, Sergeant.
Other than the cutscenes, there's not really a whole lot of new stuff here, which, like I said earlier, I don't think is a bad thing. Not every mod needs, like, 18 gigabytes of custom content in order to be worth the shit. I get the feeling that Todesangst is supposed to be kind of like a proof of concept, a sort of test run by the mod author or authors to see what they can do in the Gold Source engine. There's not really a lot of crazy enemy encounters or hard puzzles, but I did blow myself up at one point in a pretty embarrassing way. Really, like I said, the big thing here is the cutscenes, which also have their own voice acting, I forgot to mention that, and a new enemy type called the Xenomorph. No shit, it's seriously called a Xenomorph. I don't know if that's supposed to be an explicit reference to Alien or if it's just wordplay because it's experiments on Xen lifeforms, but I thought it was funny either way. They're nothing crazy really, just reskinned Vortigons, but they look cool at least. In terms of length, Todesangst is about on par with a lot of first-time fan projects. I beat it in about an hour, and there's not a doubt in my mind that you can beat it faster than that. So it's nothing you need to clear your schedule for if you want to play it. That's another thing that may sound like a negative, but I think it's good that the mod doesn't overstay its welcome and the devs didn't try and stretch themselves too thin in terms of length. Speaking of the devs, as far as I can tell, most of the work on this mod was done by one guy, someone named Peppyfool. They don't seem to be active in the Half-Life community anymore, and the last time they were on ModDB was back in 2012, so I think it's fair to say that he's probably moved on with his life. His ModDB profile actually has a link to his website, but when I checked it out, it was all car reviews and blog posts about auto maintenance, so I'm not even sure if the domain is owned by the same person anymore. anymore. It was all in German, so maybe, but there wasn't a single mention of Half-Life anywhere that I could find, so I really have no idea. Overall, I enjoyed my time with this mod. It's literally just more Half-Life, which is never a bad thing, so if you have an hour or so to kill one night and you're bored, I would definitely give this a shot. It's a neat little piece of Half-Life fan history. Before I go to the outro, I just want to talk about a few extra things. First off, this is my new video. First new video, I mean, for the new year, so Happy New Year and all that jazz. I didn't really play a lot of new releases in 2023, but I guess out of all of them, my game of the year was probably Amnesia the Bunker. I think that's probably the best Amnesia game, personally. Game I'm most hyped for this year is probably Bloodlines 2. I know it's had a rocky development, but what they've shown off so far looks promising, so I'm hoping it'll turn out good. There's less clans than the original, but one of the ones they've announced was brand new, so that's cool. Anyway, that about wraps it up for this video on Todesangst, a small-scale German Half-Life mod that came out 22 years ago. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like this different, kind of more casual, conversational style of video, or do you think it's lazy garbage? Want to see more mod videos or none at all? Like I said, I'm working on a bigger project in the background, so I'm using this period to kind of change up my style a bit and see what works and what doesn't. So I'd love to hear what everyone has to say. With all that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll come back for the next one. Now, let's get into the outro. Hey everybody, if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say thanks. It means a whole lot. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all your standard YouTube stuff that you always hear. And other than that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Goodbye.